Marquee quiet Starliner drive-in phone camera points through a windshield at a silent drive-in screen. The projector beam is off. On the inside of the glass, a clean palm blooms in fog and slides exactly 1 inch. From the car radio tuned to a dead FM between stations, a slow, careful voice that isn't on any frequency says, "Don't." You picked the reopened Starliner drive-in because the brochure promised. Retro reels and a sky full of stars, 2 lanes of speaker poles, an FM audio station that only exists within the fence, a snack bar that believes in nacho cheese, a projection booth with windows that sleep like eyelids. You're 25. Your friend Kim thinks merch can fix a personality. Rules stapled under foggy plex at the entrance. Park in reverse, headlights off, no drones, no lasers. Someone added in Sharpie at the bottom, "Do not honk or flash after midnight." The lot attendant shrugged when you asked. "Printer's old," she said, like absolutions came with the ticket. You make the car a little house blankets across laps. Cup holders figuring out their career. The label maker you brought 2 tame cables in the console. It wakes without your thumb and feeds a strip you didn't TQ. Do not flash lights. Along the torn edge, ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You laugh the swallow nail laugh and stick it over the headlight. Stock because paper makes rules heavier. Pre-show trivia cycles. What year did the Starliner open? A cartoon soda tells you to visit the snack bar. The sky agrees to be glass. The first odd thing is polite. 2 knuckles touch the windshield. Dash tap, dash measured, not thermal pop. The glass throws your face back half a beat late, and behind your left shoulder, a second head leans toward your ear, mouth parted on the first half of don't. You blink until transparency remembers its job. On the inside of the windshield, a palm prints and slides its faithful inch. Your hand rises because mammals keep rituals. Through glass and cool, pressure match is present. Not pushy as if a hand through material agrees you both exist. The car radio. Volume on whisper clears a throat it doesn't have and lowers a voice into the cabin piece by piece, careful as a docent seating a bone. Don't. Open, not the attendant. Not the station ID. The museum tone towns keep for labeling bones. Kim calls it skip signal and pretends naming is a leash. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm headlight flash at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside your car icon, then above the screen, then dash. You hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 like a dare and gives the hour back. The projector coughs light. Dust motes climb the beam like intrepid bugs. You and Kim adjust seats to keep the shifter from becoming a religion. On the screen, trailers perform confidence. In the overhead dark beyond the screen, 3 knot stars sit in an indifferent triangle and do not drift. You tell yourself they are aircraft you can afford. At the snack bar window, you read a paper sign, because signs are spells. After midnight, keep windows up. No sunroof. Painter's tape breathes like a small lung under your thumb when you smooth it flat. The cashier raps the counter with 2 knuckles and smiles like folklore. People flash when they think the projector died, she says. Don't flash. The printer's old. Back in the car, the label maker coughs another strip. Edges damp as if letters sweat. Don't acknowledge lights. You wedge it under the visor where your hand will be rude and see it. The projector stutters once, chooses humility, and then the feature begins. A spaceship over farm country beams that don't ask. Half an hour in, the FM audio drops to static and returns wearing a voice you could set bones by. Leave. Them. Off. Not dialogue. Not fully. The triangle above the screen pulses once with a color no diode rehearses. On the projector beam itself, turned into a solid sentence chaff, appears for one wrong frame. Slow falling glitter as if a harvest wandered from field into light. The next frame remembers dust. On the glass of your passenger window, a palm prints from the outside, slides 1 inch thins. Your hand doesn't meet it this time. Consent is renewable. Yours is assigned. From the field of speaker poles, a whistle travels to notes exactly the pitch Kim uses when popcorn is ready landing a half beat late, like a copy trying to keep step. You do not answer. The posts return a smaller version, grammar corrected by Metal Kim, lowers her voice to a rumor. It wants a signal. The car beside you flicks its dome light on by itself and then apologizes. Your dash icon for brights blinks a heartbeat and plays dead. You set your phone face down. Still takes a photo nobody ordered. The screen, your hand over the stock, the corner clock insisting 3:13 where digits should be dull. No caption. The gallery swallows it like a drawer with ethics. On screen, an actor opens a barn. In your real windshield, condensation blooms another palm a thumb width higher than you can fog and slides its inch. Behind the big screen, above the fence line, the triangle's lowest point drifts sideways without translation and returns like a thought that refuses exit. The radio sets down another careful rule. Don't look up. Kim kills the dome light, and the car becomes a fisheye of reflections. For one frame in the black glass of your dead infotainment, a head leans by your left ear. Mouth on don't. The next frame returns your custody papers. From the back seat you didn't fold down, two knuckles tap the plastic tapped pegs act to your pulse. You don't look. The projector throws a hiccup frame jitter that writes a white seam across the screen, and then holds. The triangle points glide apart a hair and restitch in a seam of night. Your headlight stalk twitches a millimeter like a sleeper scratching. Your palm says no like bedtime. At 12:23, the lot chooses choir. Generator thrum, distant highway vowel. Insects at the edge of ambition, your ribs aligned into a held note that slides a ruler under your sternum. In that breath, the sunroof button isn't. Unused, gives a single click and thinks better. The radio, merciful, drapes one more sentence over the night. Leave. Closed. Your phone learns a new trick. Unknown. Projector glitch at 3:13 flash to help. The map pin sits behind your shoulder. Then on the little icon representing your car. Then dash. You teach your thumb humility and let the message be lonely. On the distant screen, actors stare up with the wrong courage. Beyond it, where the sky should mind its own business, the triangle relaxes into a wide, polite arc that understands parallax in a way you can't afford. The top point brightens, in a tone your dentist might know, in the reflection of the screen on your hood. For one wrong heartbeat, stars appear below the horizon line. The next heartbeat returns to chrome and bug scores. Kim squeezes your wrist. If the sound dies again, don't tune, okay? The radio hears her and offers a new lie. Station assist enabled auto tune at 3:13. You toggle it off like Faith had a switch. The car still hums the idea like a secret. From the back row, beyond the snack bar, a pickup eases up to the fence and lifts a finger width on its suspension without climbing. In the smoked tint of its rear window, a palm blooms, slides its inch, retires. No breath owns that glass. The light bay over the snack bar door shivers, not blown by wind. Two kids run between cars with a flashlight and a dare. Their beam pencils the dust and hangs there a second too long with nothing to hold it. Her mother calls softly. Exactly 2 notes, a beat late. Nobody answers except metal. Your label maker coughs one last strip into your palm. Keep the lights off. Paper is heavier than plastic tonight. Kim makes a show of turning her phone face up on the dash and then not touching it. You follow suit. The feature ticks toward a climax that thinks it's science. The triangle relaxes to a patience that thinks it's parenthood. Your radiator fan kicks on and forgets. 3:13 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds the exit thread over the snack bar door. The little bead on the projector booth camera. The faint dot on your dash, even with the car off. The lot and your chest take one long breath through wire and beam and ribs and let it go. On the windshield and the powder-coated speaker post, 2 perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The radio, voice, careful as bone in a museum, sets its last kindness where you'll keep it. Keep the lights off. Dawn practices milk. Birds invent grievances across the fence. The attendant with the rolled-up sleeves does a loop with a trash grabber and the posture of someone who negotiates with crowds and wins. Quiet? She asks through your window, which is how people who count nights ask if the world stayed unaltered. Mostly, you say and hold up the damp strips. She frowns at do not flash lights and keep the lights off. Like they re-policies she should have written before she believed in them. Printer's old, she decides. Supervisor's absolution for phenomena you can't requisition. She wraps the projector booth door with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers back. Something stalls above the fence, she says. We pause and wait. We do not signal. You crack the sunroof at noon under a square of daylight that minds its manners. Air is only air. The screen is only vinyl, pretending to be a sky. On the inside lip of your visor, in tiny grease pencil none of you owns, a sentence waits where no gloved hand would write comfortably. Leave the lights off. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through plastic. Back home, you trade some midnight shows for afternoons and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice like polite fingers on glass, and the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb with higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown. Projector down? Give us a flash? Gets bored when you don't? When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off stalks that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't look up when something above the roofline remembers your name. In the steady voice the Starliner taught you, you say, lights stay off. For a long, thin moment, your place hums one note like a lot deciding to be kind. A head leans near your left ear and practices the first half of don't. And then the pipes remember water. The hour returns the number it borrowed. And whatever was learning your beam a half beat behind you chooses someone else's screen and leaves yours to daylight. Tape that sticks and switches that mean it. Beacon quiet. Mile 34 phone camera points through a dusty windshield at a dark desert turnout. Over the hood, the Milky Way is a bruise. The dome light is off. On the inside of the glass, a clean palm blooms in condensation and slides exactly 1 inch. From the muted weather radio on the dash, a slow, careful voice that isn't on any station says, don't. Look up. You booked the sky cabin because reviews promised 0 light pollution and a roof you can roll back. 1 room, a plywood deck, a cheap telescope, a red flashlight, and a laminated star map that smells like past summers. You're 25, your friend Nico thinks. Knowing constellation names is a personality. The host's binder insists on simple rules. Keep the porch light off after sunset. Don't shoot lasers at aircraft. Report flares in ballpoint at the bottom. Close the roof by midnight. She shrugged at check-in. Printer's old, she said, like absolutions came with the cleaning fee. Arrival becomes a ritual. Chargers labeled lens caps set like coasters. The little label maker you brought to domesticate cables wakes without your thumb and spits a strip you never cued. Do not signal along the torn edge. Ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You laugh a swallow and ale laugh and stick the strip on the telescope. Spokerser because paper makes rules heavier. Dark gathers its furniture.
Coyotes.
Practice punctuation somewhere beyond mile 34. The roll-off roof moves on tired casters and chooses humility. You set the scope on Vega. Pretend you can own a star with glass. The first odd thing is polite. 2 knuckles touch the aluminum roof rail, measured not thermal pop. The windshield fogs from the inside. A palm blooms, slides 1 inch, thins. Your own hand rises because mammals keep rituals, through glass and cool. Pressure match is present, not pushy as, if a hand through material agrees, both of you exist. The weather radio clicks when nobody touches it, and lowers a voice into the cabin piece by piece, careful as a museum tech setting a rib back in a case. Don't. Open. Not NOAA. Not the host. The museum tone towns keep for labeling bones. Nico calls it skip signal because Faith likes labels. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live? Unknown. Confirm flash at 3:13. The tiny map dot lands above the cabin roof, then behind your shoulder. Then you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 like a dare and returns to now. You give hands chores. Cap the finder, tape over the flashlight's white LED, drag the roof half closed. The telescope slews a centimeter under no command and remembers manners. Over the deck, the air throws 1 wrong frame, flowing chaff glittering where there should be nothing. Like a harvest took a wrong exit into vacuum and then remembers night. From the scrub near the fence line, A whistle floats to clean notes at exactly the pitch you use to call Nico when he strays landing. A half beat late like a copy trying to keep step. You don't answer. The abandoned windsock at the road returns a smaller version, as if aluminum corrected grammar. The label maker coughs a second strip, edges damp as if letters sweat. Don't acknowledge lights. You stick it to the red flashlight so your grip will be rude and see it. The dome of the sky does a slow blink that isn't aviation, not quite lightning. No. Not anything you've paid taxes for. Your phone face down on the cooler takes a photo no thumb ordered. The sky through the half-open roof, your hand on the scope, the corner clock insisting 3:13 where digits should be dull. No caption. The gallery swallows it like a drawer with ethics. Nico calls from the step with a voice scaled for superstition. You seen that? Above the low ridge, 3 points? Sitting in isosceles like a proof you don't remember? They don't drift. They don't blink. They feel like punctuation, arguing with grammar. The cabin in the desert chews choir fridge compressor, a moth's steady wing, your ribs. The faint line hum from nowhere lined into one held note that presses a ruler under your sternum. In that chord, the crank handle on the roof shivers a hair, a sleeper scratching, then learns shame when your palm says no like bedtime. You print a sign because signs are spells. After midnight, nitrogen monoxide beams, nitrogen monoxide calls. Painter's tape breathes like a small lung as you smooth it to the deck rail. Your hands shake only enough to be honest. At the turnout beyond the fence, dust lifts and settles with no truck attached to it. On the truck's back window that isn't there, a palm blooms, slides 1 inch, retires. In the side mirror that belongs to nobody, your face arrives half a beat late. For a single frame, a head leans by your left ear, mouth open on don't. The next frame returns your custody. The telescope eyepiece cools and fogs despite dry air. Inside the little glass, palm blooms a thumb with higher than your breath could fog and slides its inch. You do not match it this time. Consent is renewable, and yours is promised. Your phone dims to stone and still manages. Unknown, beacon ready, tilt phone face up. The arrow doesn't choose north or south. It points up, as if gravity is a verb you owe. You set the phone face down and stack the star map on top like a lid. Midnight doesn't dress up. Coyotes edit their sentence. A plane far east learns about wind and is forgiven. The triangle over the ridge rotates without translation. 1 point shears away and returns like a thought that refuses exit. The weather radio offers its blanket again. Don't look up. From the old radio tower stump, tap maps the rusted ladder left to right. Then back punctuation learning a sentence. The deck boards breathe under nobody. You teach your neck humility and fix your eyes on your own hands. At 12:23 a.m., desert and cabin harmonize again, compressor moth. Line hum, ribs aligned. In that breath, the roof latch kisses its keeper and declines treason. The label maker feeds another strip like letters can sweat out prophecy. Leave the roof closed. Paper feels heavier than physics. Nico whispers because bravery has a volume knob. I think it wants us to signal. The triangle's lowest point pulses once in a color that never auditioned for screens. The air above the deck looks briefly wrong, as if stars drifted below the horizon where sand has jurisdiction. Then the sky remembers its job. Your phone tries salesmanship again. Unknown. We're friendly flash 3 at 3:13. The map pin sits behind your shoulder, then over the roof where air should be, then apologizes to no one and goes. You let your breath be a leash you can afford. The red flashlight, unlit, clicks in your hand and imagines it has a mouth. It offers a mode called beacon you've never seen. You print one more strip because superstition is scaffolding. Keep the beam off. From the arroyo to knuckles, travel the shell of the water tank, exact to your pulse. The tank returns a smaller sound, self-correcting like a student learning to count backward. The triangle's points spread until your brain decides they didn't. A dust devil spins itself out over the road and leaves a circle of glitter on asphalt where day should belong. The telescope wants to follow and fails politely. The weather radio delivers one more mercy. Don't answer. Wind carries voices that might be your names, might be heat. The deck gate chain lifts a centimeter under no hand and lowers itself like an animal deciding not to be a verb. Your chest learns a grammar of stay. 3:13 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds. The exit thread in the little battery pack, the timid bead on the router you swear you unplugged. The shy dot on the camera that insists it isn't on. The desert and the cabin take one long breath through wire and wood and ribs and let it go. On the windshield and the powder-coated rail, two perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The radio places its last kindness on your table with museum weight. Keep the beam. Off Dawn rehearses brews and commits to milk. Coyotes give the night back its verbs and leave. The host texts at 7:02, ritual disguised as concern. Everything good? You send mostly? She arrives with extra water jugs and the posture of someone who believes in forms. Quiet? She asks, which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly, you say, showing the damp strips. She frowns at do not signal, leave the roof closed, and keep the beam oft like they re-policies she wishes she. De-written before she believed in them. Printer's old, she decides the supervisor's absolution for phenomena you can't requisition. She wraps the roof rail with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers back. If you go out, daylight only, she says. And even then, don't point at what points at you. You roll the roof fully open at noon, under a square of sun that knows its job. The sky is only blue, the ridge is only rock. On the inside lip beneath the roof latch, in tiny grease pencil none of you owns. A sentence waits where no gloved hand would write comfortably. Leave the roof closed. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through aluminum. You spend honest hours heat you don't argue with, a nap that counts as surgery, a lunch too salty to regret. When you drive out at dusk, the triangle is not there, or it is, and politely facing away. Back home, you trade some midnights for afternoons, and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice, like polite fingers on aluminum. And the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width, higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown. Friendly window flash, and gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off buttons that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't look up when something that remembers your name is writing with stars. In the steady voice the desert taught you, you say beam stays off, for a long. Thin moment your room hums one note like air deciding to be kind. A head leans near your left ear and rehearses the first half of Don't, and the pipes remember water. The hour returns the number it borrowed. And whatever was learning your roofline, a half beat behind turbine you, chooses milestone, someone else's horizon. Camera stares through a pickup windshield at a field of sleeping wind turbines.
Doors that mean it.
Red obstruction lights blink suddenly all at once and then pause together for a long, wrong beat. On the glass, a clean palm blooms in fog and slides exactly 1 inch. From a silent aviation scanner on the dash, a slow, careful voice that isn't on any frequency says, "Don't." Synced, you rented a tiny farmhouse off County 7 because reviews promised stars, a wind farm lullaby and no neighbors. 1 bedroom, a porch that leans. A gravel drive that ends at a gate marked, "Service only." The host's binder is polite but nervous. Do not enter turbine enclosures, no drones, no lights pointed at aircraft. Quiet after 10, in ballpoint at the bottom. Do not watch the beacons from the truck. The host shrugged during check-in. "The printer's old," she said, like absolutions came with the cleaning fee. Your friend Maya loves sky things and rules only as a suggestion. You're 25 and tired the way road dust gets tired. Arrival becomes a ritual, chargers labeled. Porch bulb unscrewed. Its thermos rinsed. The little label maker you brought to domesticate cables wakes without your thumb. Spits a strip you didn't TQ. Do not sync. Along the torn edge, ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You laugh the swallow nail laugh and stick it on the truck. Headlight stock because paper makes rules heavier. The turbines turn like slow thought against a big idea. Line hum from the high voltage road leans its shoulder into your ribs. The aviation beacons blink at different times the way strangers breathe. The first odd thing is polite. 2 knuckles touch the glass measured. Not thermal pop. The windshield throws your face back half a beat late, and behind your left shoulder, a second head leans toward your ear. Mouth parted on the first half of Don't. You blink until transparency remembers its job. The aviation. Scanner on the dash unplugged. Clears a throat a dose and tea half. And lowers a voice into the cab piece by piece. Careful as a docent, seating a bone. Don't watch. Not a TC, not weather. The museum-toned towns keep for labeling bones. Maya calls it skip signal and tries to make belief look like science. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm beacons sink at 3:13. The tiny map sits over the turbine row, then behind your shoulder, then you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 like a dare and returns the hour. You do what hands know. Thermos lid tight, blanket arranged, seat tilted until the truck feels like a room. The beacons blink in polite disorder. Then, like a secret rehearsal finishing, the entire field inhales and every red light hits exactly together. Holds too long. Let's go. Your chest imitates without permission. On the passenger window, condensation blooms a palm, slides 1 inch thins. Your hand rises, because mammals keep rituals. Through glass and cold, pressure matches. Present, not pushy as. If a hand through material agrees, you both exist. You print a sign because signs are spells. After midnight, lights nitrogen monoxide, counting. Painter's tape breathes like a small lung when you press it to the glove box. Maya whistles low. They're supposed to be disinced. Wildlife study. She says it like the word study could persuade red lights. The dashcam coughs one wrong frame. The air above the hood glittering with slow-falling chaff like a harvest wandered into electricity, then remembers dust. Out in the dark, a blade passes and takes a piece of night with it. From a tower base down the slope, a whistle lifts 2 clean notes at exactly the pitch Maya uses when she's found the trail, landing a half-beat late. Like a copy trying to keep step, you do not answer. The steel ladder replies with a smaller version, grammar corrected by metal. Your phone face down on a map, book takes a photo nobody ordered. The beacons at a dead halt together. Your hand on the stalk, the corner clock insisting 3:13 where digits should be dull, no caption. The gallery swallows it like a drawer with ethics. Maya kills the dome light. The cab becomes a fisheye of reflections. For 1 frame in the black infotainment glass, a head leans near your left ear. Mouth on, don't. The next frame returns your custody papers. Outside, a turbine's access door clicks once and remembers humility. The label maker coughs again, edges damp as if letters sweat. Don't acknowledge flashes. You wedge it under the hazard switch where your thumb will be rude and see it. The scanner offers another bedtime rule with the patience of a library. Leave them. Ness. 1. The world chooses choir. Line hum. Blade sigh. Insects working the idea of light, your ribs aligned into one held note that slides a ruler under your stern. In that chord, the headlight stalk shivers a millimeter. A sleeper scratching, and learns shame when your palm says no like bedtime. The beacons drift back out of step, normal as weather. 5 minutes later, they snap together again, one field-wide heartbeat you didn't schedule. On your hood's faint reflection, for 1 wrong beat, stars appear below the horizon, then behave. The service gate chain lifts a centimeter under no hand and lowers like an animal reconsidering verbs. The scanner breathes. Don't. Open. Maya points through the glass. Look by the 3rd tower. 3 white points hang in an isosceles triangle between blinking beacons, no drift. No pulse, indifferent to the wind that wrote your jacket into a flag earlier. The truck's mirror shows the same triangle sitting behind. You at a distance that refuses math. You set the phone face down again. It still manages to tell jokes it didn't earn. Unknown. Field test 313 flash hazards to join. The arrow doesn't choose left or right. It points up into the cab, if your headlights could be aimed at your own breathing. You speak to plastic like it deserves truth. No, you say. The truck forgives you. Midnight doesn't dress up. A coyote edits a paragraph, signs it with teeth, goes the turbines keep their patient turning. A choir made of wrists. Beacons slide apart, hold hands again, part each togetherness, lengthening like a person learning how to count without help. In the passenger window, another palm blooms a thumb width higher than you can fog and slides its inch. You do not match it this time. Consent is renewable. Yours is already promised. At the edge of the field, the operation's shed light stutters once. For a single wrong frame, the doorway fills with slow-falling chaff that ignores gravity. The next frame returns to moths and practical dirt. The scanner lays down another blanket. Don't. Look up. The turbines agree to a rhythm you can name. Tap, tap, travels the truck roof. Measured left to right, then back punctuation, learning a sentence. Your pulse keeps time without being asked. You print one more strip because superstition is scaffolding. Keep lights OFF. 12:23 arrives, and the field, the line, the truck, and your chest become one instrument again. In that breath, every red beacon kisses its paws and declines treason. The label maker feeds a final warning into your palm. Leave the beacons alone. Paper is heavier than night. Maya whispers because bravery has a volume knob. If we count with them, it'll know we're here. You nod like a person who's already done that math. Outside, the triangle between towers tilts with no parallax, like a thought that doesn't need distance. Your phone tries one more sail. Unknown. Synchronize now for safe passage. The map pin starts behind your shoulder, drifts over the nearest nacelle, then apologizes to nobody and vanishes.
Yes.
You let silence win. From the ridge road, a car creeps past without headlights, just parking lamps like a confession. In its rear glass, a palm blooms, slides its inch, retires. No breath owns that pain. The air tastes of static. Blade tips carve faint halos that unlearn themselves. A shadow up in the nacelle window where no one stands at this hour lens and becomes a trick of geometry. 3:13 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds the green thread on your dash you swore was off. The timid bead on the scanner. The pale dot on the phone's dead camera. The field in your chest. Take one long breath through wire and steel and ribs and let it go. All at once, from boundary to boundary, the wind farm's red lights lock in perfect synchron. Held too long. Often, two perfect palms bloom on your windshield and the nearest tower service window, sliding together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The scanner sets its last kindness on your seat with museum weight. Keep the sync. Off. Dawn, practices brews, chooses milk. The host texts at 7:04 like concern as a ritual. Everything good? You send mostly? She drives out with extra well water and the posture of someone who negotiates with county boards and weather. Quiet? She asks, which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly you say, showing the damp strips. She frowns at do not sync, keep lights OFF. And leave the beacons alone like they repolicies she wishes she. De-written before she believed in them. Printers old, she decides the supervisor's absolution for phenomena you can't requisition. She raps a tower with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers back. Don't watch them from the cab, she adds. That's when people had ideas. At noon, under a square of sun that knows its job. The beacons misbehave and all the ordinary ways drift catch. Drift. You park the truck facing the farmhouse and try not to notice when 3 white points above the far row pretend distance is optional. On the inside lip beneath the visor, in tiny grease pencil none of you owns, a sentence waits where no gloved hand would write comfortably. Leave the sync off. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through plastic. The week spends itself honestly eggs long grass, naps like surgery. On your last night you don't go out to the truck. You let the beacons be a rumor told to other rooms. Back home you trade some midnights for afternoons and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice like polite fingers on glass. And the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown, flash hazards to join, and gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off stocks that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't count red lights that remember your name. In the steady voice the turbines taught you, you say, sync stays off. For a long, thin moment, your place hums one note like a grid deciding to be kind. The head leans near your left ear and practices the first half of don't, and then the pipes remember water. The hour returns the number it borrowed. And whatever was learning your field a half beat behind you chooses someone else's skyline and leaves yours to daylight. Tape that sticks and switches that mean it.